for people to actually get in. So let's give it maybe a moment. Hmm. Can they hear us? Okay. Well, wait a minute.
Yeah, we can just let people join. Give some time for people to hit the chat up or something.
Probably show something other than a black screen so people know that it's not bugging out and that we're just waiting a few seconds for people to join. All right, we'll start in right about. Okay, this is a good time. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second Caveman on Smoke Signal stream. I am the leader of Caveman on, the nerd. I am also an artist and a writer, and I'm joined by a few extra people today. Generally the same cast as last time, although we have 2 additions. Sly, go ahead.
I'm Sly. I'm the head writer of Caveman On. I'm also trying to learn programming. It is god awful. I'm happy that we're all here. Got some big things to talk about. I'll pass it over to our next fellow, working on.
I'm working on. I'm the lead writer on the I Want to Hug That Gator development. I guess I also do some passing criticism for the other project, Exit 665, although my attention is primarily focused on Wani. Today we're joined by our 4th member, Mono, so I'll hand it over to him.
Hey guys, I'm Mono. I'm one of the artists for I Want to Hug the Gator. I'm also doing a little bit of art for Exit as well.
And finally, we have one of our musicians here with us today. He was unable to join us last time, but he's here now. Champ is here.
Hello, audio guy. Probably know me. Generally, just music, occasionally sound effects when I can. Here, probably still going to be in text though.
All right, introductions aside, we're going to be giving a few updates on how the various projects are going and hopefully answer some questions. This is probably going to be a shorter stream than the last one. So please keep that in mind. So we can start with some news on Wani. There's a whole lot of progress that's been made this past month. Go ahead, Work.
Yeah, so we've done a lot of progress on the Wani project. Obviously, the game is still under development. We're working diligently and we're working towards the goal of getting the game out in Q4 of 2020. To that end, we have been recently addressing a lot of updates we're making to the sprites of especially the main cast. Ben, Liz, Mia, Olivia, and Inko. I think our attention was definitely directed towards Liz and Mia and Ben. So the sporting cast. We've got some nice new designs to show off to you guys for those. But work is still progressing with everybody else. One thing that we definitely wanted to do is get a cohesive kind of look to all of the characters. Obviously, Mono and the other artists can speak more to this than I can because I have the artistical talent of a piece of damn sawdust. But in general, we just, obviously it was identified that because the styles of our artists were so distinct, we needed to kind of unify them to make them look a little cleaner, make them fit a little better, just kind of present a more cohesive look to the cast. So, Mono, do you want to show some of those off?
All right, so here we have our entire main cast here. Inko, Olivia, Damien, Liz, Ben, Mia, and also Miss Brockling over there. So specifically, we have Resigns for Mia had probably one of the bigger changes. It's a little bit more cohesive.
Should probably
More
want to
cohesive.
zoom in a little more.
There we go. A little bit more detailed, a little bit more in tune with the rest of the cast.
A little bit more edgy. Definitely more spiky.
Yes,
Yep,
your
both
spikes
figuratively
were.
and
We
literally.
spent a long time discussing those spikes.
Right. And we got Liz over here. She went through very minor changes. Mostly her shirt. It's a little bit more sweatshirty. Got a little dress shirt underneath here. But other than that, she's retained most of her design. Besides the style change. And Ben here is still a little bit of a work in progress, but here pretty much remains the same.
Yeah, one thing we wanted to show off is kind of the tertiary characters that we're making. Mono, of course, mentioned the Miss Procklin character, which I believe was shown off in one of the threads. I don't exactly remember when, but we're definitely putting a lot of thought into these designs for kind of the third tier of characters, so outside the main cast. Obviously, Snoot Game, it was really fun in Snoot Game because we got to kind of explore a lot of like the reference characters and make some kind of fun jokes and humor based on that. The spirit of that is going to be continued into Wani. I think some people were a little concerned that there were maybe the only other character we had shown off was a reference character. So I just wanted to touch on that briefly and mention that obviously we are going to have original designs for other characters. It's not all going to be references. Having original characters kind of fill out the more nuanced roles is obviously something that we want to strive for, because a reference character is kind of contained within the reference. Once their role becomes expanded outside of kind of a jokey character, it's not really appropriate to have them be, this is X character from this media. So there's definitely going to be some original designs we're still working on. And we're definitely excited to show those off probably at the next stream, if not sooner.
Does that cover the
Mono.
redesigns?
Oh, so yeah.
All right. Can we see polling one more time while we're at it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Mono, Sly, did you two either want to touch on anything else related to design of the characters? If not, we can kind of move to some questions from the chat.
You pretty much covered the
like to move-
bases. Go ahead, Sly.
I know. Go ahead, Mono, because if we're still on the characters, I want to talk about one of these questions because it's actually very pertinent to me.
No, I was just going to say that you pretty much touched on most of the details that we want to discuss for the redesigns.
All right, sounds good. Sly, do you want to lead us off with some question answering?
Yeah, it's the major themes of Wani. That's something that I know a lot of people are really curious about.
Indeed,
like
they
how
are,
much?
yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of the themes of Snoot Game caught people by surprise when they first played it, which we were absolutely happy with. Wani is going to have its own major themes. There might be some similarities, but strictly speaking, it's going to focus on Inko and Olivia's characters and their own personal growth in their lives.
Yeah, so some of the themes, obviously, that Snoot Game touched on, Wani is going to touch on as well, just because from a genre standpoint, it's talking about kind of that love story, visual novel type of story. You're going to have some similar themes. But yes, the themes are definitely more tailored towards Inko and Olivia's character and their kind of uniqueness to those characters. This does include obviously dealing with such issues as like Olivia's disability. It's obviously a nuanced and it's a very important topic to kind of to nail and get correct. We in no way want to kind of like turn somebody off because it's like, oh, this depiction of this character is not like accurate. So in our I don't know, on brand style of doing a ridiculous amount of research for probably no reason, we're obviously being very careful and cognizant of kind of those issues and how it is to be kind of like a disabled person. I think we are doing. I mean, obviously, I am very biased speaking as the head writer, but I think we're kind of like dealing with these themes in a unique way, a way that's not just going to retread a lot of the ground that Snoot Game walked on. We're going to go kind of in our own direction. It's been really entertaining to see kind of the thread, talk about and guess at the endings for Wani. I greatly enjoyed those. Certainly people's imaginations are running wild, which is nice to see. Whether or not you guys are at all correct, we'll of course have to wait until the game comes out. Concern that we won't necessarily catch fire twice. I don't necessarily think that has been our concern. Obviously, Snoot Game was such a flat, like a lightning in the bottle moment. And it's not something that we're looking to or like maybe necessarily like fully expecting. Obviously, we're not trying to like capture the lightning of Snoot Game again. We're going after our own lightning this time with Wani and trying to tell a different story that hopefully will be as resonant as Snoot Game. But we're not. It's like we're not selling ourselves out. We're not turning our back on the things that made Snoot Game kind of engaging and just kind of chasing popular trends. I know some people were concerned about that, so maybe I can just waylay those fears and say that's definitely not what we're trying to do. It would be very easy to do a kind of by the number story, reject a lot of the identity that we've built up, and just kind of go with the safe options. And that's not what we're doing at all.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah, I agree as well. So, do we have anything else to talk about for Wani?
Yeah, I know we had some questions that came up from the Discord earlier. So somebody was wondering if Wani would have any kind of like the Steam functionality, such as like achievements, trading cards, Steam Cloud, and things like that. It is on our radar, especially like trading cards. And I don't want to promise anything more outside of trading cards, but I think we maybe discuss some other things. But having just something that would kind of elevate the game and have a little more like fun little collectibles and stuff. That's definitely something that we've been thinking about and that we're still thinking about. It's kind of the discussion of whether or not we want to have something like achievements. You know, would you get an achievement for getting ending 1 versus ending 4? Obviously, that's a route we could go. Do we want to get the achievements to be more intricate? We're not sure, but we're definitely looking into these things. We're always kind of thinking about, because Steam is a different platform and it gives us much more kind of playthings to try out. So we'll definitely have to see how it goes in the future, but we've got our eye on it.
Certainly possible. It's also, like, for generally speaking, something to is way in the back burner until we're maybe a few weeks away from release.
Yeah, so it's been interesting developing for Steam as a platform because there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through. You can't just like make game and then put game on the internet. There's a lot of, you have to get your game classified. There's a lot of like checklists you have to answer about the subject material and things like that. So it's certainly been an interesting process, and it's I will admit it's kind of a learning thing. Obviously, we're new to developing for Steam, so I'm glad we can kind of take our stumbling first steps now, so that when we push exit out on Steam, it'll be much more polished.
Can you really do achievements in a visual novel?
Actually,
Yes,
you can.
yeah. Usually either as a metric thing, just to, so people can just see how far people you get through whatever game. Not to make a direct comparison, but the newer Ace Attorney games also have a number of achievements. They have some fancy word for them.
Yeah.
Although it's not quite the same. Obviously, Wani isn't as directly interactive.
I know there's like silly things like accidentally turning on like for the ones that actually have voice acting, turning on like Japanese dubbing and stuff like that. There's like silly achievements for that kind of stuff. Don't know if we'll be able to do that kind of achievement though, but who knows?
It would be fun to kind of play in the funny space. You know, you accidentally enabled text to speech mode, you know, and have an achievement for that or something like that.
Hey.
There is another question from the chat, which I appreciated this person's wordplay. On a scale of coal to onyx, how dark is the story going to get? I'm going to assume onyx is probably the darker end of this spectrum, although I'm not sure because in my mind, coal and onyx are pretty close together in shade. It's dark in a different way. I think we spoke about this at the last stream that, you know, we're not looking to tread new, or excuse me, we're not looking to retread the same kind of ground. Obviously, there's not another school shooter ending. It is still pretty fucking dark. I don't know. Again, speaking as a writer, I'm slightly biased, but I hope it has the same kind of emotional gut punch level.
Well, the same level, but a different kind of gut punch. Like it'll destroy some people. I can guarantee you on that.
Well, the metric that shouldn't be measured here isn't, well, how bad is it for everyone involved, or like how edgy something is. It's how impactful it is for the characters involved and how well it's built up. Because otherwise, we could just say, oh well, this time around, you know, Olivia just gets in the killdozer and lays waste to entire neighborhoods, and that wouldn't exactly make a good ending.
No, but I
it's
think
not as
even
impactful.
Yeah, and even what people were asking, like, Sly touched on this. It's like the impact is tailored to the story. So if you're invested in that story, of course, the impact is going to mean a lot to you. Hopefully, that impact, you're going to take the impact of the story and kind of, just like Snoop Game, examine how that applies to other mentalities that maybe people have in the real world. I think that's really where the impact of Snoop Game lied, not just on the shock value of like ending one or the depressingness of ending ones and two. I don't know. In our first draft of ending 3, somebody thought it was ending 1, which I thought was kind of entertaining. So look forward to that.
Comedy.
I forgot about that.
And then I think there was one last thing to mention about the story and the progress in general.
Yeah, we can touch on that real quick. So obviously, script writing we're still going for Wani. We kind of basically have Act 1 all squared away. Obviously, the entire story has been outlined at this rate. It's just kind of finding the time to write. Obviously, the writing department or the writing people for Wani, I would say is probably smaller than Exit. So obviously, we're just not making progress as quickly, but we're definitely still working on it. So it should be exciting to see all that stuff finished and put together.
All right, is that a segue to move on into Exit?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So yeah, Exit progress this past month. Okay, a few things to start with. I think I want to start with the relatively quick news that as of earlier today, we got another version of the draft completed, which we are about to go into a brief objection period where we're going to send it to a few proofreaders, and then they're going to say what they like or don't like, and then hopefully within a week, we'll be able to say we have the final draft. The one thing that we don't have written out is all of the NPC dialogue, since we don't have all of the NPCs made just yet, so that it's going to have to come very last. That's just a quick aside. That's one major milestone nearly out of the way. We're right there at the finish line. So next up, we have talk of assets. And I have a few things for Mono to show. Go ahead to the sprites one, please. Okay, so we have a number of sprites already made for the overworld and battle stuff. Yeah, we have a few here showcasing 4 characters. We got Morgan on top, then Freliston and Dory. The sprite quality has gone up considerably since we first showed off the game. Decided the whole idea that, well, we're going to have to be drawing these characters a whole bunch isn't necessarily a good reason to skimp out on putting as much detail as we should put into these overworld sprites. Is the Sprug dead or hiding? That is her blocking sprite. If she tries to block a move, then she will go into her little hair thing.
The foot, if you
Yeah,
will.
you can. No, why did you say that?
I don't know.
That's one box you can't close again. But yeah, and it can also slither around like that. There's some good comedy to be had there. Generally speaking, the game is starting to the assets are. I'm excited to see how it's going to look all put together, coming along very cleanly, very consistently. Trying to have something new made every day that we are able to have, that we're able to work on this. And this is only a small section of a small selection of sprites that we have currently already made. And then the other thing to talk about, can you show the other picture, Mono? Thank you. The other thing to talk about is some cutscenes that we have ready. This is subject to change, but we are currently storyboarding a number of cutscenes. If you'll scroll in and then just kind of slowly pan down. Thank you. So yeah, all subject to change. So we're having the storyboards made now, and then once we have everything else done, like all the rest of the game made, then we're going to go through with animating it very last. So that way we can have these work, use them as placeholders for as long as we need to, and then change things as we need to as well as things go along. And then at the very end, finish the animation for real. There's not going to be a whole lot of it. We only have a few cutscenes planned, but they're all going to be hand drawn, and they're going to be very high quality as well.
I see that we already we have a good number of questions already. So
Go ahead, Sly.
As Nerd just said, yes, these cutscenes will be animated, but they're going to be like major moments in the story. I don't think we'll be able to put out an actual game if we try to animate every cutscene. So like there is going to be the VN style sprite, like talking sprites. There's also the overworld sprites animating for the story. We're just going.
It's the cutscenes that are animated versus cutscenes that are rendered in the game.
Yes, thank you.
But yeah, we have a few questions here. We have what is the playtime going to be? If we're talking strictly about the demo, I only can make a guess here. I'm gonna say probably maybe a few hours, maybe 4 or 5, if you do everything you can.
Yeah, I would.
I really can't say at this phase.
I would say roughly 4 hours is the most accurate.
Really can't say for the full game yet. Very unsure. And then is there a plan for when it'll go on Steam? Hopefully, and I'm really not sure either because we're working at a steady pace and we're going relatively quickly. Hopefully, it'll be around ready around the time that Wani comes out. If, in the event that we're going to have both things ready, we're probably just going to delay exit a little while so that we can release Wani and then let people enjoy that. And then a few months later, once the conversation moves on, then we release it. That might be one way of going about it in the event that we finish both at the same time. Or we could just release both at the same time. That might also be interesting to see.
I don't know. I feel like delaying for Wani would be the more optimal. So people get to enjoy Wani, and then they'll get to enjoy exit right after. Give them that 1-2 punch to the wallet. Oh wait, no. the demo is going to be free. Never mind.
Yeah. It is a free demo. Completely.
Replay value. Definitely for the full game, yes. There's going to be replay value in the full game.
There's some replay value in the demo, but I'm not going to say anything more than that.
And it's going to be like, in terms of RPG system, it's going to be straightforward. It's going to be a Paper Mario-esque, Yick-esque. Pardon me.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
You could just say ARPG. People know what that means.
Because they're going to think it's Kingdom Hearts then.
Oh, you're right. I want them to think it's a good game.
Why are you using Yick as a comparison?
No, why not?
Why?
It's fun.
Yeah, no, like, why wouldn't we?
Well, if you want them to think it's a good game.
Well, let's see. That's where we have you. Yick is a good game.
This is why we're on development teams.
Come on. And also, yeah, quick aside, once the update does come out, we are very likely going to stream it as well, and that'll be a lot of fun. Because the update is showing some really interesting stuff. I'm looking forward to it. Will game exploits let the player actually trivialize the difficulty be patched or left as is? I'll raise you one. The programmers are actively putting them in for people to find.
Yes, if you can manage to do the correct jump, you can bypass an entire area.
That'd be funny. Okay, what else other news did we have? We covered. Oh, actually, yeah, we have. Let's talk about music for a little bit. Champ, if you want to talk about the stuff that you've been working on.
Well, what specifically? It's been
No,
quite
just
a
in
lot
general,
of-
what you're doing. You're also making music for Wani as well.
Yes, that as well. General progress so far is, I guess I'd say, increased vastly in sort of the genres I'm working with. Trying to make it
Can you
sound a
speak
bit
up a little
more.
bit?
Oh, just simply trying to make it sound a bit more unique and make the genre sort of pop out a bit more when people actually listen to it. So, there's a greater contrast and it's considerably more memorable.
I think
Is
it'd
there
be a good
anything else?
idea once they come out, or once the soundtracks are finished, to release them on, like, I don't know what websites do people use. Bandcamp.
There was some discussion, Bandcamp. I think someone jokingly threw around Spotify as an option.
That'd be funny.
That would. What genres are going to be prevalent for Exit and Wani? Like, what tone are you going to give them?
For Exit, that's easy. Hard emphasis on considerably more, I guess I'd say experimental. Psych rock was one of the inspirations. However, as of recent, I have been leaning more towards electronic and a little bit of rock, similar to, I had it described by a good friend as sounding somewhat like Ridge Racer for, as for Wani, considerably more punk than anything. Punk with sprinkled bits of more, as I'd say, ambient tones. Feel a bit more personal from each individual character. Anything else?
Someone's saying DistroKid. All right, something to look into. If you don't got any other comments on next stuff you're doing for music, then we can continue on.
We did get a question about the combat roles for the characters of Exit.
Oh, can you define what they will take? As in, like, archetypes or what? Like, you can probably tell just from looking, and you could probably. I think we cover pretty well, generally speaking, what the combat roles will be from the information that we've put on the website through, like, the wanted posters. Uh, but yeah, for example, you can see Forelli. She is the main healer of the group. Then you have like, and then someone in comparison to like Sten, who is like meant to be a more heavy hitter sort of guy. And they all have, you know, like unique little bits, extra. What's the word I'm looking for? Small advantages in battle. For example, Forelli would heal a certain percentage of health each turn. Sten, we have some neat little thing for every character. They're not all going to be like, you know, complete gimmicks that you have to revolve the entire party around. It's all just going to be things that ideally work together, and that's something that when making moves and coming up with move lists and when designing how the system works in general, or keeping the idea that you're going to want to change party members out frequently or try out different combinations and actively be looking forward to trying different combinations in mind. So hopefully there's not going to be any character that people just get and they're like, okay, this is terrible. I don't want to play this ever again. And just send them to the back of the party.
Okay, by gimmicks he means each character is going to have like their own unique mechanic that plays not just into like their mini game, but also just into their character itself. Like it plays a major part of them.
Okay, well, like as an example, one character kind of has the. If you ever played an RPG Maker game, a lot of them have the TP system as opposed to regular magic system. Lisa uses this quite a bit as well, so Sten is going to be a character similar to that, in that as he gets to damaged, he builds up a meter that can be used for moves. That's just one example, whereas everyone else uses a rather straightforward magic bar or energy or what have you. Furley has her healing thing and a few other things that I don't want to spoil. All the characters generally have something like that, so there's a lot of thinking, okay, well, this character can do this, and then that works well with this character, so I can have them work together in this way really good.
Yes, akin to a rage meter, Jurenic. And
Yep.
like one of my favorite things about it is just the interaction of the abilities and like certain skills between the cast. Like certain party members, like all the party members will be able to synergize in different ways. So like a lot of people are going to come up with different teams that they actually enjoy, but like all of them should be like very interesting to really have fun and try and optimize the team in the combat turn.
Oh, another thing I want to mention. Critical hits. They are not random, and with every character, there's a very specific condition you can fulfill to get a critical hit every time if you're good at playing it. So, like, you know, just timing a certain move the right way, or you do whatever, or you aim something to go to the right place, things like that. Yeah, timed hits.
You want to answer that particular question?
The Lisa one?
Yes.
If you looked at Lisa for character interactions, is it in the same spirit? Sort of, yes, to a large extent. Like, we have a number of. We don't have a whole lot of status effects to list an example. Like, Lisa has a number of status effects as well that work together. We have a few that most of them interact with at least one other status effect in a certain way. I don't want to say too much about it, but we do have a number of interactions between characters along those lines.
Yeah, and yes, we do have in mind like how long the combat mini games would take up, like how often the player will see them. So we're not going to like make them like long. Like they should not be long, horrible things. They should be quick and enjoyable, and you understand what the heck you're doing as you're doing it.
Right, so hang on, let me rack my brain for a second. The longest one, I believe, is, in the demo at least, probably maybe 4 seconds at the most. And that's for the character that has the longest one. So they're all really quick. And then as for battle length, we've decided that generally speaking, they're defining a turn as all of your characters move and all of the enemy characters move. then each battle should be roughly 2 turns, 2 complete turns. And any longer, it'll start to get
Tedious.
annoying, tedious. So battles are like relatively quick, but still, on the other hand, rather devastating. I don't want to say, oh yeah, we're doing this really hard. It's going to be a really tough game, guys. But we are adding a bunch of challenge to it, so it's not just you can't just pick the regular attack and just spam whatever encounter.
Yes.
So it's quick. You got to be thinking about what you want to do, things like that.
Like,
No epic,
one of-
huge boss fights. There will be. I will not elaborate.
Yeah, when it comes to like the skill needed, it's going to be a lot of thinking, like per turn, like sequencing what you want to do. Super bosses, yes.
You were actually
That
talking about that
involves-
earlier today. Well, you adopt the Earthbound mechanic where if the opponent is way lower than you, you will just auto-defeat them. I've actually seen another version of this before. There's this game that I really enjoy. It's called Jimmy and the Pulsating Mass. Very funny game, or very funny title, but the game is really good. It actually has this weird system where if you get into a random encounter, it'll show you an exclamation point above your head. And usually it's red, but when you get over leveled, then it turns green, and you can actively choose if you still want to get in that fight. Or you can just say no. You can hit the no button, and then it'll just cancel out of that fight entirely. I think that's actually a more interesting way to go about it. We'll see. There's probably going to be definitely some level of, once you're leveled at a certain point, you don't got to worry about getting in encounters going through old areas.
Also, like the level of the super boss, I don't think we'll be going to what was it, Pandemonium Warden in Final Fantasy, where the Korean guys got sick.
Oh.
Not going to be to
Ew.
that though. Yeah.
I do recommend that game though, Jimmy and the Pulsating Mass. It's fantastic.
Okay, the number range for combat.
I want to say around mid game, it's going to be around triple digits in terms of how much damage you can do. Not sure how that's going to work out in the early game. Probably like double digits, and then with stronger moves in the demo, we're going to be triple. We'll see. I think we did talk about I did talk about this with the other guys a month or two ago.
We did have a
talking
talk
about
this.
Yeah.
It's like there was the talk between like Final Fantasy IX style where it's low digits, but like all the hits have more impact because of it. And then there was the disguise end of the scale where it's literally billions on billions, which is ridiculous.
Wow.
I think we stuck with the lower end.
Yeah, I'd say it's around the middle. Like in lower end compared to sure, between double and billions. All right, is that all that we have for exit? I'm trying to rack my brain for a second about this.
They were asking if we were going to be expanding on some characters like Tulip.
Oh, yes, and I will not elaborate more than that.
Any more questions? I do not believe I see any more. Nope.
If there's nothing else, then we can start wrapping up.
Yeah, real quick, if anybody has another question for the Wani development team, please just let us know now while we start our wrap ups, and then we can answer those. Oh,
Price range for the games.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we said Wani was going to be, correct me if I'm wrong, Work, but I think we said either $4.99 or $5.99.
I think we initially set it at $4.99. Obviously, that price is subject to change. We may bring it down. I don't think we would ever bring it above $4.99. So the most somebody would pay for would be $4.99. the average price somebody will probably pay for it is, well, we all know you're not going to buy it. So
Yeah. Yeah, we know what's
As-
gonna happen.
Yeah. As for exit, that's something
Mhm.
we're still debating, honestly. But this is like the end goal of Wani is to be a full on, like a full experience game. So do we go with the standard of what is it, $60, or do you jump up to
What?
70?
wait, what
How
are you
much
talking
games
about?
Yeah, what are you talking about? We never talked about full price ever.
Sly pulling a little humor there.
Oh. I don't know how
As
much
for
games
exit,
cost anymore.
yeah. As for exit, yeah, neither do I for other reasons. As for exit, I thought hadn't really entered my mind. I've just been preoccupied with finishing the demo, and then we'll see what happens then. One thing we're
Yeah.
also going to be making, and I do want to mention this real fast, we are going to still be making the other games similar to Sluggish and Allotl. That plan has not changed in the slightest. And the next one is going to be for Lyra,
Who I'm excited for.
who Mono has been drawing. Any
And then-
idea on how big the gallery in Wani is going to be?
So that's a good question. Obviously, I assume you're talking about like the CG gallery, just like it was in Snoot. Let me pull up what we basically we haven't boarded them, but we have basically kept a tally of all of the CGs that we would expect to need. Now, obviously, this number is subject to change, but let me go in here and check. It's a pretty significant amount. Okay, so 20, there's around 25 individual CGs. Now, a number of those are going to be multi-scene. So, anywhere from 2 to some of the more extensive ones are going to be like in 7, more than that. So I would say the CG gallery is, I don't know, probably looking around like 50 individual like stills. It may be less, obviously it may be more. Obviously that's subject to change, but it should be probably equivalent to what Snoot Game had.
That's quite a lot.
True.
Good lord.
That's why the artists don't like me.
Seems to be a reoccurring theme with lead writers.
Oh wait, do you guys
Hmm.
actually want like a VN of Sten?
I mean, it seems kind of odd that you're only doing them for the girls and not for the guys, because it's just a nice opportunity to show off the characters. So I'm sure people would love any content they can get.
Yeah, maybe. All right, is there anything else? You have long-term plans. Are you planning to stick together if Wani and Exit succeed to keep making video games? Yes, absolutely.
Definitely. Like I have my own game I want to make. It's just with the stipulation that I have to learn to program to make it.
Yeah, we got a number of potential games to do after this one.
Good lord.
Well, it's all this is several years down the line, though. Like Exit's gonna take a while, Wani's gonna take a while. I think it's a good idea to keep a momentum of doing 2 games simultaneously. It seems to be working out so far. Hopefully, I'm not speaking too soon, but things are working out really well so far.
They're
And
sorry. I was going to say like things have definitely been like a lot of fun just making all these games.
true. All right. Does anyone have anything else to mention, or should we start wrapping up?
I don't think the Wani side. Mono, did you want to speak to anything?
Guess not.
I guess, yeah. Of course, Mono has his mic muted in Discord, so I
I'm
probably.
sorry, no, I didn't have anything else.
Oh, cool. Thank you for
Mono this entire time has just been regaling us with wonderful tales that nobody heard.
Uh,
But no, yeah, I think we can go ahead and wrap up here.
yeah, I think now's a good time.
Yeah, like always, thank you
Alright.
everybody for coming out to these smoke signal streams. Obviously, community involvement is a big part of why we do these. We want to touch base and just kind of give people updates, and not just completely disappear off the face of the earth, and you guys have no idea what we're working on. So, please, bring your questions, bring your comments, engage, tweet at us, things like that. Any way that you can make your voice heard will, is going to be the best way to represent yourselves in these streams. We're going to do it. Obviously, we do them on the first Monday of the month. So the next one would be on the 2nd of May. Forgot what month is next. The 2nd of May. And we look forward to seeing you then.
All right, so I think that's about it. Person running the stream, go ahead and take us up. But goodbye, guys.
Yeah,
Later,
thanks
guys.
for coming
Hey,
on.
dudes.